and Scott show. I'm Lynn Serrano with Scott Jones.
I'm Scott Jones. Thanks for coming, everybody, to the Lynn, Scott, and Friends show. Well, we've got a group of friends. A few people aren't joining us tonight, but they're busy, and it's the holiday season, so that explains that. And I hope everybody so far is enjoying their holidays. We still got New Year's coming up, so hopefully we're taking some time. But we've got Matt with us, Scott with us, Barry with us, Rex with us, and of course me and Lynn. But Lynn, how was your Christmas? Was it good?
It was good. Yes, got by through it, and yeah, here we are.
Got by through it.
By through it.
Boy, that's exciting.
That's exciting.
I passed by it from the car.
Put it this way, trust me, I'm telling the truth. Short version, and that's all you need to know.
Well, that's good. So Christmas did not kill Lynn, so that's what we're going to celebrate now.
It is the first day of Kwanzaa.
Oh, today's the first day of Kwanzaa? Oh, okay.
Happy Kwanzaa, everyone.
All right.
There we go. And we're done with the Hanukkah and stuff. That's all done and gone, right?
Prior to Christmas.
Okay, so we got Kwanzaa now. And I don't know if there's any others out there that we're not mentioning.
It's what, Festivus and Saturnivus or something? And
Festivus,
There's 17 other ones before this,
I thought Festivus was the one they made up for
It is.
No,
okay. All right.
No, Christmas is the one they made up.
That's
That's right. Christmas.
Want to get really deep.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
Going through all this.
Well, I mean,
And may you all rot in hell.
Okay, thank you. This was it. This is a wrap.
May you rot in hell. Merry Christmas.
There
All
we
right.
go. So what we're going to talk about, we did this last year. We're going to do it again this year.
We did.
Maybe we got some new viewers and new people listening and stuff. But to talk about this is the time of year, and actually building up to now, everybody's been thinking about my resolutions and all the things I'm going to change in the new year as they continue to do their bad habits today, because it's not time yet to stop doing those bad things or to start doing healthy things. But resolutions, and I've been wrapped up in them myself. I mean, I'll give you, just to set the stage, these are the top 10 resolutions that are normally people make. Exercise more, lose weight, get organized, learn a new skill or hobby. I love this one. Live life to the fullest. Well, if you're still breathing, you're kind of doing that okay. Save money, quit smoking, spend more time with family and friends, travel more, and read more. So those are the top, and there's probably tons of other ones and stuff, but I've always just found it to be amusing that somebody who has not successfully done something all year thinks that something happens magically when the ball drops, where all of a sudden they gain this new momentum and new perspective where they're going to change and everything's going to happen in this magical moment. And unfortunately, that leads to a whole lot of disappointment. And that usually comes within an hour of that ball dropping, the failures.
Scott, we don't have.
I'm going to go eat worms. That's really depressing.
Yeah, really.
Well, Scott, we don't have any sponsors when it comes to any Planet Fitness or anything, but there is a time of year where they make a lot of money here in the next couple of weeks.
Listen, I think you should go out and join a gym anyway. Anybody who wants to lose about, I don't know, $30 a month, that's a great way to do it. But really, I'd really like to hear your guys' perspective, because, I mean, we've all come across this. Maybe we've had a habit of doing it in the past, on resolutions and, this whole idea of making this change date. There's always the date that magical change is going to come. And I guess maybe there's a possibility you could do something like that, but you got to be building and preparing for it at least, not just waiting for something magic. But somebody kick in and tell me what you think.
Well, I would jump in with this. There are some people who plot by a calendar. They are these through-time people who they know the dates of things. They know the time they have to be at meetings. They're run by the clock. They're run by the day. They keep their appointments and everything else. And then there are those in-time people who are like internally present. They get caught up in the moment. They're having fun talking to you. So their meetings are, the ones they're supposed to meet get pitched back because they don't run by the clock. So for the person who's a through-time person, a calendar year, beginning a calendar year, or that first day of the first minute of the day of the week kind of thing, it may be just what they need in order to set themselves, going, and the other people will go, doesn't make sense to me, and I don't care, and I don't, So it's kind of the different strokes for different folks. It just depends on who you're dealing with and if you recognize their patterns or not, or whether they recognize their patterns or not.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
By the way, I should say there are with these between time people who are the ones who are the most frustrating. They're the ones who, when you're driving down the street, they tell you, "Hey, just stop, double park in front of Walgreens. I'll be in and out in a second." And you're sitting there double parked and they're in there because they didn't run through how much time it actually takes to get into Walgreens or whatever store they're in and then do their thing and come back out. They don't see that. All they see themselves is running in and coming out.
Yeah, I know a few of those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was, by the way, I had to stop on Christmas Eve. I had to run into Walgreens real quick. And it wasn't for any presents or anything like that. But I had run out of creamer and I had people come in the next day. So I just ran in there. It was convenient. And oh my God, I have never seen so many lost men in my life. And it was 90% men walking up and down the makeup and perfume aisles trying to figure out what to buy. It was really sad. And it made me very happy to be single on the holiday.
There are benefits.
Scott, what do you think about this? Yeah, there's benefits. What do you think about this, Scott?
This you wanted.
I've never, the New Year's, it's nice to start something fresh and do things like that just because you choose to do it, because you've had a little break, but not like, oh my God, now is the time to start regaining my health or, losing half a limb or, something to try to make up for the idiocy going into it. It's, do you look at some things? Probably you do some reflection, but hopefully you're doing that throughout the year. And it's not just oh my God, the magical date shows up, because the magical date doesn't seem to work very well for very many people.
Right.
So
I just want to ask Scott and anybody, how many of you remember that it starts the calendar year on your mileage for taxes? I never remember that. I always like in May go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all the stuff, it's kind of, why would you, it's interesting because I'm doing What Now Wisdoms, and I recorded 40 of them just over the last few days because we've had a little extra time. But one of them was about persistence and consistency. And I said, when you hear this is 111 days in a row of being persistent and consistent. So it's not, there's nothing, there's not nothing. There's very few things that you go from nothing to something and it works well. It's either you've been doing it for a period of time or, you ease your way into it or you do it. Whenever I've tried to do that, I've come back from an injury. I typically get injured worse because, I can do something again. Let's see how far I can stretch. I can't stretch it that far. Oh my God. Right. It's like, so you tend to, hurt yourself worse than you were hurt in the first place. If you just do things consistently, even, going to the gym or doing whatever, even if you don't do a lot, the fact that you got out, made the effort to go there and maybe it's just create a relationship or nurture a relationship through that time. You don't have to go 1,000 miles a minute all the time.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense to do that. So, that's why the holidays are on one side kind of a fun break. And on the other side, who's actually an entrepreneur and working because they're still working. They're willing to take a phone call. Right. So it's a great time to prospect, actually.
One of my favorite quotes is by attributed to Lao Tzu, which is "Drop by drop, the tub fills."
Yeah, very true. It doesn't. I don't understand the all or none mentality of a lot of things. Quite frankly, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, I think a lot of people get impatient and get confused by the fact that almost all change is a process. Almost all change. There's some things that change immediately, but not many. Many things are practice and process. when I decided I needed to be better and spend more time with my kids, I had spent so much time living a certain way. It was a process for me to learn and to practice doing that. I didn't just go, boom, I'm going to be a better dad. Right. I had to start showing up and doing uncomfortable things until they became comfortable and doing different things. But I think why resolutions are popular is because we think we could skip the process because of this magical ball drop that happens, that we don't have to go. We could just wake up in the morning and be motivated to lose weight.
Welcome to the pharmaceutical business. Everything, just take a pill and it fixes everything.
That's right.
Which actually fixes nothing.
I want to ask Scott Jones, what is immediate?
What is immediate?
Well, you said there's most things are a process, and there's some things that are immediate. But what is
immediate? Immediate is a decision followed by an action. That's an immediate thing. I turn left instead of right at the end of the driveway. But to get to my destination, I still got a process to do.
Well, you still had to get to the end of your driveway.
All right. I guess the immediacy is only the decision then. I guess that's it.
It's kind of like lightning appears immediate, but it took something to create it.
Okay. All right.
I would argue that everything is a process, and
okay.
I mean, I'm just being argued.
No, absolutely. I guess by appearance and by
he's
comparison,
the ghost of confrontation past.
I'm argumentative. I am. Yeah.
I mean, in comparison, it seems more immediate, but it's just the matter of I can start some things or I can do certain things right now, but it does not complete until I go through the process, I guess.
Yeah, there's shorter time frames, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, but my point is that what appears to be immediate is still part of a process. It's an illusion that we've bought into, like instant on TV, or what Scott was talking about a moment ago about something happened like this, and because, or like take a pill. That because we now have been inundated and indoctrinated to that kind of concept, people want it fast, they want it quick, they want it easy, they don't want any effort, they don't want to have to go through any kind of process whatsoever. But if someone said, okay, cover your mouth, it's November, and don't breathe until January 1st.
Yeah, there's still a thought.
Just a second. I have to breathe in between. So between whenever you decide and the time that you start is an infinite amount of time.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
All right. I'll buy that. Certainly. Absolutely.
So I'm gonna wrap my point up with this. If you say I'm going to do something, which everybody does for the New Year's, and then you don't do it, all you have done is succeeded in creating the habit of failing. Because what you wire in to your own experiences, I say I'm going to do it, and I don't do it. 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 So you don't get the results that you want. So you feel bad. So then that reinforces the feeling crappy and all the kind of stuff. And so you're far better off. That's why we say if you're going to do it within 24 hours, do it within 48 hours, but take some form of immediate action based on your decision, or don't decide to do it at all.
Right.
Because you'd be far healthier if you never make that decision. Then say I'm going to do it and then not do it, because it's like punching yourself in the face.
Or why don't people take resolutions every year and say, okay, well, this is what take an inventory of what was your resolution from the year before, this year's resolution, and how can I make it better for this coming year? And I know that I'm stirring the pot by asking or saying this, So, okay, you didn't lose the 50 pounds last year. How about 5 pounds this year? So, yeah, Barry, come on with it. Come on with it.
I've been sitting this for a minute. First of all, actually, on Scott Rex said, it's not so much that you have a history of failure, you lose trust in your own words, which is way more powerful and way more challenging. Yeah. So, first of all, anytime you say you're going to do something, if you don't follow through, first of all, if you're going to if you know you're going to do it, renegotiate or say, you know what, I'm changing my mind. Because if you just don't do it, your body takes on the feeling of lack of trust, which is going to get you in the way of relationships, of everything you do. The second piece is, and it's kind of what you were alluding to, Lynn, is that really the problem with resolutions, and it's what we say, resolutions like, this day forward, I'm going to be a whole different person I was before. I'm going to transform my life, be totally different, because this is the decision I'm making, because as Scott said, the ball dropped, which is the most insane thing I think is possible. Yes, sometimes.
Pretty sick though.
Well, no, but the thing is, but you know, so one of the sayings I remember hearing from many times in the seminars I used to take was basically, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you'll change. But you also got to get to that point before you'll change. So to do it without that level of angst is not easy to do. And speaking of Scott's thing, doing your audios every day, which is great. I actually did started doing videos. This is going back in 2016. I got so upset with something, I started doing videos about it because I was doing Facebook Live because I wanted to do something. And then after a few months, I started doing it every day. And I went for 3 years every day. So I did over 1,000 of these. And that was kind of like, and it wasn't like I was going to do that. I planned just doing a couple of videos. But it's kind of like, the thing about that is it's kind of the incremental steps. You go, well, I'll do one more. I'll do one more. And it was that sort of way of doing it. And then looking back, I've got all these videos that like, Jesus, I did that many. So it sometimes works that way as well, where you don't actually have the big goal in mind. You just do the next step and the next step and the next step. And then after a period of time, you go, okay, I'll climb the mountain. But you didn't set out to do that in the first place. So part of this work is build up momentum. It's almost like when you go to the gym, you don't push the hardest weights on the machines the first time you get in the gym, you'll hurt yourself massively.
Right.
But you start with light weights and you build up. So if you want to start with new intentions, and I use the word intention, not resolution in my work, if you start the new year off differently, don't start as the biggest change in life can happen from day one. Start with a little incremental step towards that change. So maybe over 6 months, you'll get to the point where you've changed everything. Because that's more likely to be successful because you've built momentum, you've built practice. And they say something like, whether it's 21 days, 25 days, 35 days, whatever it is,
21,
it's about a month to change a habit, give or take. So if you do things that tend to replace 2 years, okay, it makes better sense. But it's like, it's going to take momentum. So doing it incrementally, where first of all, if you trip over, you can look back and go, okay, let me do it one again.
Well, that's also one of the biggest challenges today because we live in such an immediate gratification society.
Right,
everybody, me, now, let's make this happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, you gain 12 pounds over the year and you go to the gym twice and go, how come I haven't lost it yet?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
It's called math.
Yeah.
You know, a pound is 3,500 calories. You know, I mean, but again, I think that's part of it. There's so many people that want that quick fix, and unfortunately, there are people who advertise into that and try to convince people that all that is possible, right? If you do this or do that, all of a sudden you're going to be able to jump over small buildings in a single bound. It's not the way it works. It takes some time to build all that up, and it's really I think it's, again, why, well, I'll take my generation. I think we've got some tremendous advantages because we understand reality. And I think, unfortunately, not everybody understands reality, or they choose to deny that it exists. And it just, some of it just is what it is. You don't have to like everything.
I would offer also, in addition to that, that's both of what you said, Scott, and are very, very true. It takes as long as it takes for something to happen.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the patience that the first person who ever planted a vegetable had?
They might have died before it showed up. Who knows?
How would they know when it was going to be arrive? They just put the seed in the ground. We benefit from our technology and our information, and we suffer from it too.
Mm-hmm.
We use the very things that are blessings for us to create pain and suffering because of our expectations being unrealistic. If it took, I said 2 years, somebody went, oh, fuck. Right? You say 21 days ago, oh, that's much better. The point is it takes however long it takes.
Right.
And if you stop worrying about how long it takes and just do the process, you'll be surprised how quickly it actually occurs because you're not looking at a calendar or a clock. Remember sitting in school waiting for that bell to ring?
Yeah. Or it's Christmas to come.
The only time it's good to have that kind of delayed gratification is when the ball is dropping on New Year's and you're anticipating a kiss. And it's okay. It's like, oh.
That's when you call in Barry.
I ain't kissing him.
I don't call Barry on New Year's Eve when the ball is dropping, but thanks for the thought.
All right. This is where we bring somebody like Matt.
I like you, Barry, but you know.
Okay.
Exactly.
Matt, save us from the direction we're heading in here because it's getting steamy.
Yeah, we've these are very good points here, and something I've been thinking about too is exactly the same thing. How to get healthier, how to get back in shape. And I think oftentimes, like we mentioned, Planet Fitness. This is one of those places where you go to and you put your headphones on, and then you self-absorb into yourself and run like a gerbil on the wheel, and don't really pay attention so much to things going around you here. So, but we have a couple local people here. One of them, his name is Shane, and he actually runs the kava shop here in town. But he lives sober living, and he's a motivational speaker, and talks a lot about recovery and all that. And he trains at a gym, and it's all local people, a one-off place, keeping, as I've talked about before, keeping your business and what you do at a local level. But then it also increases our human interaction with the people that are near us, instead of being just running on that treadmill and and kind of tunnel visioning our aspect of where we're at. It's creating that human interaction between people, and then you find a lot more motivation within yourself to go out and do that. And I watched one of his streaming shows that he does on Facebook earlier today. And he even talked about how to start doing something like this is to go into your own yard and say, grab some 2x4s and move all the 2x4s over to the other side of the yard, and then start over. Grab all those 2x4s and move them back over to the other side of the yard. And even though they don't need to be moved again, it's still occupying your time. It's occupying your head, gives you kind of like this release into itself. But then to go out and do that with other people, whether it's going into town and parking your car and walk around and just start picking up garbage off the streets that you might see, or, recycling some stuff, or these are ways to keep active, and his classes, for example, are also self-defense and training with weights and things, but you're doing it with other people in conjunction, which is really brings your not just your body, but your mind and your soul into getting healthier as well. So I think we should concentrate on all of those things.
Absolutely.
I'll underscore that because something else.
Go ahead, Barry.
I was going to say, just after what you said, Matt, one of the things that cracks me up is people like to make resolutions in the new year. They're going to go out and do fitness and everything. But when the sales are on at the stores, they want to park as close as they can to the store. Whereas if they park it in the parking lot, they can walk to the store, walk back, and be fitter by doing it. There's a mindset thing. It's like, you can only do it in a certain way. There are so many things you can do, whether, park further away from where you're going, so you can walk there. Were you giving the hand there, Scott? What was that?
Yeah, giving you the hand.
I was doing something I didn't want people to see, but thanks.
Okay. You can turn off your camera if you wanted to. No, but the point I wanted to make is that, there you go. The point I was going to make is that, like you said,
the other Scott. No, is it the yellow thing?
That's yeah.
Nice.
We lose focus so easily here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Look at he's doing it for you.
Yeah,
Scott, Matt just did it for you.
But that is the point, Scott. People don't eat without and just eat.
You said eat.
That's his stomach. He's really hungry right now.
They're saying hi. They're gonna go say hi to the dog outside. But people now they're going that direction. People watch TV while they eat. They read while they eat.
Yeah.
They are on the phone while they eat. They go to the gym and there's TV screens like there's a sports bar. They have headphones in, or they've got a magazine or something. We've lost this notion of singular focus, of just being in one act at one time in one moment and being kind of present with what you're doing. And so what typically happens for so many people is that they're so scattered, they never get anything. They don't accomplish what they would like to accomplish. So what Matt was saying, though, is when people exercise together, or if they have a support group of people who do things together, that's great. Now, if they're all there reading their magazines with their headphones on and their TVs blaring, I mean, they may be benefiting a little bit from the camaraderie of this, the synergy of everybody doing it, but you're still distracted. The key is just to learn how to focus and to be present and to enjoy an activity for that activity's sake, or the silence for the silence sake, or the meal for the meal's sake, so that you actually get to show up in life.
But Rex,
being a kind of like the Truman Show.
Rex, we got interrupted at school. They wanted us to pat our heads and rub our tummy at the same time.
That's actually healthy for you.
But I'm just saying, we got distracted learning that.
No, but the myth that I even helped perpetuate it back in the 80s and 90s was the idea of multi-tracking. We don't need to multi-track. What we need to do is learn how to focus now. We're already multi-tracking. We're paying attention to this and that and the other thing. We're actually going through, sequentially more than we are simultaneously. But right. we're dissipating our energy incredibly by trying to do too much at one time. But this is actually healthy for you. Contralateral movements are actually healthy for you. Doing finger exercises are good. Yes. But the idea of trying to pay attention to 9 things at one time when your conscious mind doesn't attend to those things at one time is tough. Now, that said, yes, moms, they hold their kid, they fold the laundry, they've got a phone in their hand, or they're doing whatever. I mean, sometimes you have to. Right. I mean, and we can do so much, but the idea is not to try and do more of it. It's really to just simplify and get back a little bit more to nature instead of technology is wonderful, but it's keeping us from being human.
Well, that's a brilliant point. My mom was great at that too. She could cook dinner, pay the bills, be on the phone, and throw a shoe at my head, all without a thought. It was all.
It was in between breaths.
Multitasking.
Right? We actually made a point earlier. I want to get back to this point just to see if this is worth exploring at all, where we talked about getting into this habit of failure, or of either just not building a lot of confidence. When you say you want to do something, then you don't do it. It takes a little chink out of your own personal armor and your own personal confidence, and people break down that way. Are we too flippant with the promises we make to ourselves? Should we think more about those things? I think it's something worth talking about, because resolutions is a perfect time for us to say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And sometimes we walk around the office and we tell friends, this is going to be a new year. I'm going to be at the gym every day after work. I'm going to do this. And we do all that stuff. And all of a sudden we feel deflated because we've let ourselves down, because we spoke too soon. We didn't really think about, first of all, we didn't think about, is it realistic? But secondly, we didn't think about, is it really what I want to do? Because if it's something I really wanted to do, why is it so necessary for me to make this grand pronouncement? And why am I not just doing it? So maybe we need to think a little bit more, because I think we damage ourselves. And if my word to myself becomes meaningless, then my word to you will also be meaningless, I believe. So I think it's important. It's not something we should glaze over, that letting yourself down like that, or setting yourself up with something that or that you don't have full confidence in, we need to think about that. Barry, you're nodding your head. You follow me on this?
Well, as I mentioned earlier about that lack of trust, it's like what we do is when we say we're going to do something, we're giving our word, which we then later on trample it because we don't do what we say we're going to do. So one thing, yes, like you're saying, like in fact, like what Rex was saying, that thing about trying to do too many things at once. If you're going to make a resolution for the new year, just do 2 or 1. One you can achieve, because when you start doing 12 things on your list, you're going to miss most of them by the first week anyway. And therefore you start doubting your word is of any value, is the other part. So really starting to put yourself in a place where you value what you're saying by making it important. I talked about this thing, we did talk about this about agreements months ago on this show. And the challenge with this is that when we don't realize that our word has impact, we tend to basically trample our own word, and we forget what we're talking about as being valuable. So we don't value our own word. So yes, when we make resolutions or we make any commitment to somebody, into ourselves, keep that commitment, or don't do it in the first place, or renegotiate.
I think what you just said, though, is truly important. Make 1 or 2 and win through the 1 or 2, so that you have the feeling and the experience of being a winner and having kept your word. Then when you've done that, then you can do another one, and you build, and again, you go through the process of developing success instead of being a jack of all trades and master of none, kind of thing, or dabbling in everything but not getting anywhere. So,
well, as a little kid, basically. Yeah, as a little kid, promises being broken, I didn't like, promises being broken. So I never I always tried to keep my promises to my kids. And so, and then when you have customers that don't keep promises, whatever, promises are important. But then when you realize you don't keep promises to yourself, you're like, oh shit, that really sucks when you can't keep promises to yourself. And if when you get in your 50s, if you haven't.
I don't want to stop you on that one, because every commitment, every word, every vow, every promise you make to somebody else always includes yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So you're always.
Again, that's, as a mom, you always forget. Sometimes you always forget about yourself.
Right.
It's
What I'm saying is that any commitment you make to yourself, yes, you'll watch what you say to yourself, but just as much, any promise somebody else is still with you because you're putting yourself to them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a hard learn lesson to learn. That I learned it the hard way. But what I was going to say is, if resolutions, at this point in life, you should pick a word for the year. That's become something I've picked the last couple years. Sometimes words, to focus on a word, and focus like on kindness and friendships and giving and different things like that, to be the if you can't change like physically or things like that, change the person you are. Be a better person and use a word that helps you to be accountable to be the better person of the year. Be the thing that you want to see in the world, to make that resolution. It's so much. Including the I can and I will, and it's just different things that can. It's changing the needle. It's, if you do something every day, a little something, it makes a big difference every day. Like if you like to eat a sandwich and you got to cut down the bread, have one piece of bread, not two pieces of bread. You can skim things. You can skim a budget and you can still have money for different things. You can do different things and still make things happen. And it's just of how bad you want it and how bad you want to make a difference. And it just, a little difference goes a long way. And so, just like you said, if the recipe hasn't worked, try different ingredients, and make a different difference. And that's the other way of changing it. It's just, I think we're getting at that point that maybe, half point here. Have you guys tried to change the way to look at the new year? And we're going into leap year, so we got an extra day of this next year. So, go ahead.
There's a saying that the master has failed more times than the apprentice has even tried. Yeah. And so, failure is, it can be a humbling experience, but if you don't try, then you don't grow. Mm-hmm. So we have to get beyond that, I suppose, self-embarrassment part of it, where you're afraid to fail. That I'm not going to even try because I've had a history of failing. But the only way we become experts or masters as something is to keep trying and understand why did I fail, how did I fail, and then try not to make those same mistakes, the next time we try. Just keep at it, and eventually you will become the expert or the master of yourself.
Failing forward is always the best.
I like that, Matt. Now, I don't think any time that you make an effort that it's a failure anyway. I agree with you. I agree that the failure is in making statements and then not putting any effort in or not trying, or and that's damaging to character. One of the things I deal with a lot is, I don't know if any of you guys can follow this, Matt. You might, coming from a place of where nobody trusts you in your life, not your kids, not your wife, not your family. Nobody trusts you. Nobody believes in you. Nobody wants to talk to you. And then coming out of all of that and saying, I want to be trustworthy again, and realizing I have to believe and feel that I am trustworthy before anybody else can think I'm trustworthy. I have to know it. And if it took me a long time to figure that out, because I would say a lot of things to build my trustworthiness, knowing that I was still being false. I had to do that myself. In making promises to myself or to others is a way to damage that for me. If I don't really feel that I'm going to make the effort, if I'm really not into it, why am I? No, you don't have to make a resolution. Let me tell everybody out there. Guess what? When the ball drops, there's no rule that says you have to have something to revolutionize. You don't have to have a resolution. You don't have to make a change. Maybe you're happy. Maybe that's okay. Maybe you just got to stop listening to everybody else and live your own life. Maybe that's okay.
Amen.
But I'll tell you, but I agree with you. I don't believe anybody who makes efforts at things and tries. If I went to the gym for 6 months and then said this gym isn't for me, I don't see that as a failure. But if I went and got the membership and then says, no, I'm not going to go, that I see as a personal letdown and a personal failure. So I agree with you on that, Matt.
Well, I would argue that there's never, and there is no such thing as failure at any point.
I would agree with Rex.
Without effort, you're going to say if I don't make the effort, it's not a failure.
No, the failure is a judgment that we make. It's a label we assign to things. But so, for example, if the Wright brothers hadn't learned to fly when they learned to fly, would they have been a failure?
No, because they didn't.
It just hasn't happened yet. So as long as you keep doing or keep trying or keep attempting, all you're getting whenever it doesn't work out the way you hope or expect or whatever, if you don't get is feedback. You're getting an opportunity to make corrections and adjustments to do it over again if you choose. The only thing you can do is persist or quit. Now, if you want to call quitting a failure, go right ahead. But the point is if you're running a marathon, it doesn't matter whether you make it in a day or 100 days. If your goal is to complete the marathon, if your goal is to complete the marathon in whatever time frame, and you stop halfway through it, you just haven't finished the marathon. You quit. Now, you want to call that a failure?
Well,
go right ahead. Go right ahead.
The most famous quote that people go back to is Edison in 14,000 steps to produce the light bulb. Right. And people saying, you failed 14,000 times. He said, I didn't fail once. I just found 14,000 ways that didn't work. Right. So, I'm the same way. I don't use the F word, I don't, because everything is an attempt, and I don't use that TRY word either.
Oh, I do.
No, there's either do or don't do, right?
Right.
You make the attempt. You make the attempt to do something with all the best intention and with all the desire. And I think that's one of the problems with resolutions is people are trying to, they're working to throw something out there that somebody else can judge. Oh, look, you're working to do something good. It's like, it has nothing to do with anybody else. If I happen to go to that purple and gold gym, and I was there today, and one of the reasons I love it is because I can put on my headphones and I can listen to inspirational music and actually do two things at once. Not wanting to do two things at once. That's not the purpose. I want to take and be able to consume good lyrics and good music and have a positive effect along the way as well. In fact, I even did a review about it, and I said, when I joined over a year ago, somebody said, why would you go to that place? Oh my God, you've belonged to this other club for all these years. And, it's blah, 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 blah. What? Nice people who want to get in better shape, who have great machinery that are working to do something positive. Yeah, boy, that sucks. Why would you want to surround yourself with people like that? As opposed to going in and going, look at these people working to encourage themselves, do better. And I think one of the statements that I use is, while I'm not where I'm going to be, I'm a whole lot better than where I've been. And everything's a process. We started out this whole conversation with it being a process.
Yeah.
And the one thing I'm pretty sure is I'm not the divine timekeeper. I can't tell you exactly what time it's going to take for me to accomplish something versus Barry accomplishing the same thing. Mm-hmm. Look at the folks. I look at Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen. Now after selling 600 million plus books, you go, oh, these guys were, they were so good. Yeah, they didn't publish the first book until they were 50.
And it took them like 142 tries.
Yeah, 142 publishers said, no, your idea sucks. So I mean, the fact is, it's the constant, never-ending personal improvement. It's the desire to get better. Whether you get better or not is
Up to you.
it's the effort. Well, no, it's not even up to you, really. I mean, it's if
you
you're
keep
moving
going.
in that direction, the odds are, history proves, other people's results show, you'll get better.
And
Right.
that's an important point because drop by drop the tub fills, water,
Yeah.
trickling the same way, cut the Grand Canyon. It's that persistence and consistency. Enough baby steps taken in the right direction can lead you to the top of Everest. I think the difficulty that some people have is today the conditioning is that people want guarantees. They won't buy a program now unless you guarantee the result, or you guarantee that something you'll get your money back if it doesn't work out, or if you don't use it, or you do. They won't do squat if there's not some promise of a payoff in it, because we keep getting hammered over and over and over again, about that. And it's not just programs; it's just about everything. So they don't. If I don't see the results in a certain amount of time, it's all fiction. Because what you just said, you just do, and if you keep doing, ultimately you'll get. If you want to lose weight, just keep whatever we practice. They found this out. It doesn't matter what diet you use, as long as you do something. And if you
Right.
do something, it goes back to all the studies done during factory times, where they would change the lighting for the employees, and the factory workers, and the factory workers would be more productive. So they go, oh, okay, so we have to light it brighter. Then they dimmed the lights and found that they were more productive. Then they increased the heat, and they found they were more productive. Then they cooled it down, and they found it. What they ultimately decided was it had nothing to do with what they were changing, but the fact that they were changing things, the employees thought they were being attended to.
Yep.
So it was the idea of getting attention, of being validated, somebody looking out for you, that improved. That was arguably the reason why they were more productive at those times. So it doesn't matter which diet you choose, Mediterranean or Atkins, as long as you do something and stick with it, and stick with it long enough to begin to see the results. And you can't set the time frame. As a wise person once said, and this was Saint Elmo, there are no unrealistic expectations, only unrealistic time frames. So if you haven't got it yet, keep going.
Well, a couple of things to understand that, because you said this thing about the guarantees. Another part of that also, when somebody looks at wanting to climb Mount Everest, they're looking at the mountaintop and they can't think they can get there, rather than looking at the first base camp. The challenge a lot of people do is they set their goals so far out in the future, they don't know how they're going to get there. It's like the quote saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Look where your first step is. Then look at the second step, and you look for the next one and next one. And by the time you finished, 1,000 miles. But it's the things people don't.
I just want to validate what you said, and then I will be quiet. That actually is how they instruct hikers and bikers to go uphill, is to look at your down by your feet 3 or 4 or 5 feet ahead, and keep your attention there. Because if you're biking and you see the top of the hill, your head goes, "Oh, I'm never going to make this." Or if you're hiking and exactly what you said. So it's focus on the steps in front of you. Kind of like you got to get to the top of the ladder. You do it one rung at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So focus on where you are at in the next rung, and you will get there. So keep going. I didn't mean.
Sure, yeah. So a couple of things. One, I'm talking about relationship stuff in a second. This is my area. But the other thing to say was the word "fail." The acronym for that is first attempt in learning. So we take failure as a learning path, because the opportunity really is like feedback. Like, when the plane goes from LA to New York, it's off course more of the time than it's on course. That's not failing. That's course correction. So if you're failing at something, you're not succeeding at something, you got course correction you can make. Change direction, redirect. Go, okay, so I need to move a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, or do this instead. Same thing at the gym. In relationship conversations with clients, a lot of people say, well, just get the app and start swiping, I'll find somebody. But the thing is, if you didn't do any work to heal what happened in the last relationship, the odds are likely you're going to do the same thing again, because you haven't done anything to change this person here in the mirror before you meet the next person. Same is true with work, with anything else. So if you want to make a change, this is the way it works. It starts within. That's where the work is.
Yeah, I think that even the whole statement of fail forward fast isn't really about failure. It's about take more steps faster, because you're going to learn more. You're going to get more feedback from those steps. It's not about, I mean, it sounds clever, fail forward fast, but again, it's not a fail. It's a learning event. It's learn forward faster is what it really should be.
Yeah.
It's just not as cliche. It's not as trendy to, oh, you mean I actually have to learn?
No shit, Sherlock.
I mean, that's what it's all, I mean, all this stuff is you learn things consistently. My daughter and her boyfriend came over yesterday, and I mean, we laughed our butts off. We made ginger people. We had a decorating contest with ginger people.
Where's the pictures?
To be politically correct here, so we, but I mean, we had a contest and we put it on Facebook, and we lost horribly. But anyway, it was one of those but we laughed our butts off and had just a great time. And since then, I mean, we've traded multiple texts and calls and just laughed about our laughing. And I can tell you, there was a period of time where that relationship wasn't that way with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what you were saying earlier, Scott, is you take the vision of where you want to go and you work toward that.
Yeah.
It's not a fake it till you make it. It's give it everything you got until you make it.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the things that people sit there and say, and sorry, I'm going to step on Barry here, relationships are 50-50. No, they're not. They're 100-100.
Right.
That's important.
You take it and go like this, and you put two trees together crossing a river and lash it. It's very weak. But if you bring it all the way over and lash it, it's impenetrable. But everybody's got to give every part of it in all of this stuff. And so if your intention is to, hey,
don't say this with the lid.
Yeah, I know. I knew I shouldn't have said that because it would come out. But anyway.
Can I guess which one you made?
You may not. But anyway. But the point is that we just laughed and giggled about it and all the stuff because we wanted to just have fun.
Yeah.
And that intention was set and that intention was accomplished. So what did we fail because we made an ugly ginger person? No, it was
actually
fun.
They're all cute.
But it was just a blast to be able to get together and do that. And just all the people, the holidays and stuff it's interesting to me what people make them into. And they try to assign so much ritual and so much this and so much that, as opposed to just enjoying people and being together. And, even this conversation about different stuff. I mean, anybody can believe what they choose to believe.
Yeah.
Anybody can go, oh, I'm going to set a resolution and I'm going to go for it. God bless you. Have fun. But we all have that opportunity to not make that same decision, right? And so we just take these things and give it everything you got. And it's amazing. If you want to use the F word, if you want to say you fail, you are going to fail far more than you ever succeed.
Absolutely.
So why would you want to use the word? If you know that to be true, if you know there's going to be more steps, there are very few people that get everything that they want to do correct the first time. In fact, other than Rex, there's nobody here that does.
That's true.
I know that's true. So
Scott, I got to tell you, I appreciate the story about you and the kids, and that's really, really important. And I know, I'd reached that point in my life where, I'd put down the drink, the drugs, and I straightened myself up, and I said, I want to be a better father. And I had a mentor, if you will. And I said, how do I be a better father? And he goes, well, show up. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll show up. But then what do I do? He goes, just show up. Yeah. I'm like, no, that's not, I want to, what can I bring something home? They're going to love me today. That kind of, I was looking for all this stuff. And all I had to do was just show up.
Yeah.
And whether it worked well that day or not well that day, I was there and I was in the moment and I was in the process, and I learned as I went. And yeah, absolutely. That was so important for me to understand. There was no instant fixing.
Right.
Almost everything in my life, whether it's the business that I'm trying to build and or my art or whatever I'm doing, it's about I'm not going to paint anything unless I stand in front of a canvas with a brush. I'm not going to succeed in business unless I go into the office and make a phone call. None of that's going to happen unless I show up. And the resolutions are the same thing, people out there. I mean, if you really want to do something, just show up. Stop thinking about all the mechanics sometimes and just stand in front of it and see what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe we're overcomplicating some of this. And maybe I overcomplicate things because I'm a complicated human being, which is translation for I'm full of shit most of the time. But I've learned, just show up and the things will happen the way they're supposed to happen. And if I want something, I will do something. And if I don't want it, then maybe I need to just think a little bit more before I start choosing my directions. That's all. But Matt, did you want to say something and throw something in there?
Well, I'm going to argue from a little bit more of a global perspective here. But, like President Lincoln, he ran for office over and over and over and over and wasn't voted in over a dozen times, I believe. But finally he did get in and, eventually became the president, which resulted in a civil war and the oppression of the Dakota people, the Native Americans, the American West, as he opened it up to settlers for us. So, and eventually executed 38 Native Americans over their rebellion. So I don't know whether I'd quantify his success as a success or a failure to the human race. So, when we do things that may make us feel better, we go to enjoy something or better ourselves at a corporate facility, that is not something that's done more locally and with local people. We have to think about all of the environmental impacts of that. And I don't mean an environmental sense like a tree hugger. I mean environmental sense as in these built environments that we create, and they're on a mass scale. And when we participate in those, we are actually creating an environmental disaster on our effects, not only to the local communities that it affects, but in all the transportation services and all of the other effects that this can have. There's a lot of different devices that go into these environmental effects that we have to look on a more global scale. And so when I'm talking about doing things with local people and in a local way, it reduces these environmental impacts on ourselves and our culture, our society. And so that's improved by doing these things. We're trying to improve, as I was saying, our souls and our minds, not just our bodies. We have to think about all of these things on a much grander scale.
I would submit that would be a great topic for the next coming week or sometime in the future.
What how would you put that into a topic form, Rex?
Well, just how do you better work together globally and not, where it starts locally? How do you have a global impact? In a way that doesn't make waves or have negative repercussions.
Yeah,
I like that. I would not mind that at all. I like that.
That sounds good. Something for the new year, for sure. Glad you brought that up, Matt.
Matt, you'll join us with that. I will not. Obviously, I hope.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
All right, we got about 6 minutes left. It'd be a good time to go around and give some thoughts and maybe, hey, if you want to send out some New Year's wishes, do that as well. But Matt, let's start with you. You're in the center square already, so give us your best Paul Lynn and tell us what you want to tell us.
Well, my goal here is to change the way we look at the world. So in the new year, that's what I'm setting out to do. I've learned a lot over the last couple of years. This year's been a pretty big one. So, we have to try to learn how to care for our common man, improve humanity, not only ourselves, but in the entirety of our culture and society. We often think too much on a small scale and within how I can improve myself, but how can I help others help themselves? That's really what we have to do more of it. And each one of us that tries to do that, even on a small scale, one thing a day, two things a day, just like working on ourselves in the world, or if it's even online, just those one or two little things a day. If hundreds of thousands of us or millions of us are doing that, everything will change. Our whole world will begin to get better, and these negative thoughts and attitudes will just automatically disappear. They will go to the wayside, and we'll move into a better future.
See why I picked him for this group, you guys? He has no idea who we are yet. I love it. I love it. I love that, Matt. I'm going to take Barry next. Thank you, Matt, for that, because I think you're in great company here. You just don't know it yet, Matt. And I love that because I got to spend some time with him, and he's going to fit in here so great, you guys, and he has no idea where we're going with all this. So this is fantastic. So, Mr. Barry.
Okay. Well, I covered so much stuff already. I'm not going to go back and rehash that. But something came to mind was the idea about when you ask a native, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's how I believe it's worth doing our goals, our visions for the new year. If you want to call it resolution, great. But think about doing it as a step-by-step, baby steps at a time. I did a process when I was in grad school. We did this thing where we laid out a grid on the carpet where basically it had like 3-foot lines going out from 0 all the way up to 33 feet. And we did this thing, the thing you do at the carnivals, you do like a ring toss. You have like a little pole that you throw rings on top of. We had this set up and we took bets. Well, we basically said, where do we think we could throw to get the highest number of points? Basically, 3 foot would be 3 points, 6 foot would be 6 points, et cetera, et cetera. And so we had 3 rings and we throw them. And the thing is, we say, well, put it on the furthest one out, because if I hit it once, I got the best score. Almost nobody got it there. When we started playing with it, then we could get one onto that furthest 33 foot out pin. But we put it 3 feet away. It's like you just lean over and drop it. That's the power of doing baby steps. They're easily achievable. But most people think they've got to go for the big goal that's going to be the massive one, transform their body, have the best relationship, drop all that weight. And it's too far out. Like Rex was saying, they don't think they can achieve it. So look what's in front of you. It's a baby step. Literally, you can step that far without even thinking about it. Then you can do it again and again and again. So make your resolution something you can do over the whole year, perhaps, that starts with baby steps you can achieve one step at a time.
I love you, Barry. Thank you so much.
Rex.
Wow, that was good. I would argue you don't have to walk on fire or bend metal or break boards or any of that stuff. The notion of 10 timesing your effort is kind of fallacious. And here's why. Because most people, and notice I say most, and by the way, it is not sufficient, nor is it transformative, to blame your conditioning. Because that's what, well, I was born. That's why I've got problems. Who cares what happened after that? That's why I got problems. Doesn't change anything. But here's the thing. Most people, not all, most people don't like to learn anything, and they don't want to have to learn anything new. And the reason for that is because of the way we were brought up in school and how we got things marked wrong and how we were told we had to learn something and then we had to learn something different. And I don't know why I have to do math and I don't like history and the heck with economics. So we're not, most people aren't voracious learners who just really want to get in, dive, learn to do something new and have a great time doing it. They shun it. They don't want to leave it alone. They resist it. The whole thing. So to say, learn to do this doesn't really appeal to a whole lot of people. They ain't going to do it. They want it easy. They want it quick. They want it fast. They want all the guarantees. They want all the other stuff. So if you go to a buffet, what do you typically do? You choose the things that you like and you eat those, and you eat them to the exclusion of the things that you don't like. And if you pick up something you don't like, oh, God, that was terrible. You don't spend the whole day going, I'm never going to eat that. I'm never going to eat that. I don't want to eat that. Oh, that was it. You find something that you like. And so the same thing is true with what you do in life. If there's something that you enjoy that moves you further ahead in where you want to go, whether it's losing weight or gaining weight, learning a new subject or not, whatever it could be, find the way to make it easy and enjoyable for yourself. focus on the things that you can do and have fun doing it. The more you smile, the more you get through it, the more you ease yourself into it, the quicker you'll go. There are those people, not everybody, but some who need a kick in the ass from themselves, or they want to flagellate themselves, or they got to boot camp their stuff. That's not everybody. Okay. So don't compare, find what works for you, and understand there's nothing wrong with failing, because there's no failing. You just didn't get the results you want when you thought you were going to get the results you want. Hang in there. You can get it, and if not, you choose to do something different. Stop letting failure determine whether you're successful or not. It's a concept. It's nothing more than a concept.
Right.
So don't use silly concepts to define yourself.
Thanks, Rex. Always a pleasure, man. Always. Scott.
I love you, Rex.
Ditto. Okay, no. No,
That sucks. What now?
No, all of that is so true. I mean, we're coming into a new and wonderful opportunity called the new year. And all sorts of different things are going to be new and fresh. And some of the stuff that we have lived through this year is going to be gone and passed behind us, so take it and get positive. I agree with Rex. People typically don't like to learn. Why not keep on growing? Why not keep on doing and doing things that it's really interesting? Again, because my daughter was over last night, I'm like, God, my little girl. And then all of a sudden I went, oh my God, the last time I watched her play volleyball was 12 years ago. What? Where'd 12 years go? Right. So, I mean, it's enjoy every bit of this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of greatness out there, and everybody can contribute to it. And it doesn't hurt anybody to be a little bit nicer and a little bit more considerate and all those kinds of things. And when we do that, we lift each other up, respect, honor, dignity. Novel concept. I'm not changing my resolution. That's been my platform for I don't know how many years. It's staying the same. I'm going to work to put respect, honor, and dignity back on the planet. How do you do that? One person at a time, one bite of an elephant at a time. Treat people better than the way you want to be treated. And it's an amazing thing. I happened to go to a store. It's got a big W at the start and a T at the end today because I needed one thing. The hell was I thinking?
You weren't. No.
Did I not realize everything in that building was 50 to 70% off, and everybody who didn't spend money for the last 3 months was there? And it's so funny. I got sandwiched in between people with like 400 things in their cart, and I had one item. And you would have thought I just looked at people and I didn't say a word. I chose to be there at that time, but it just fascinated that nobody would say, hey, let's walk up to the register at the same time. You just pop yours down and run. It was not even a thought.
Wow.
Keeping me safe.
So anyway, evidently I should have thought that because Lynn was going to cancel my ass right there. No, the
producer's always on time, and you're killing me here.
Well, but the whole point is just, let's treat everybody with respect, honor, dignity. Go into the year. If you want to set a resolution, God bless you. Do well. We're rooting for you. If you don't, God bless you. We're rooting for you. Let's just have a great 2024 going on.
I love you, Scott. I love everybody here.
Thanks, Scott.
I want to wish everybody a happy new year.
Yeah, everybody, this has been a great conversation, a lot of different viewpoints, and a lot of the same viewpoints as well. As always, it's an absolute pleasure. It's been a great year with all of you guys. Much respect and love to all of you. And, you can't grocery shop for somebody you don't know. You can't. If you're going to make decisions about what you're going to do and what changes you want to make and what you want to do moving forward, the first thing you should do is know yourself and know what you want. And if you haven't done that, maybe that's the thing you need to sit down and do first. Figure out what you like or what you would like to try. There's the big TRY word, try. But at least figure out who you are before you, because grocery shopping for somebody who doesn't eat what you eat, it doesn't help you. So, but Happy New Year to everybody. Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, all the other holidays.
We'll see you guys next year. I won't see you till next year on the show.
Oh no!
I thought
She's been waiting for an hour and 5 minutes to say that. You know that.
I love you guys.
Oh yeah.
And
Next week we can look back and say it was a year ago that we were on the show together.
I know. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Matt, I hope you come back.
Oh, yeah. I'll be around.
And everyone out there, please share this with your friends. Make sure you subscribe. That's how we move things around here.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Keeping me safe and sound.